Hey, welcome to Watch Mojo. I'm Eduardo Sanchez, the co-director of the Blair Witch Project, and we're about to watch the 20 most rewatched horror scenes. And it's the 20th anniversary of Blair Witch, so I'm wondering if Blair Witch is gonna make the cut. Let's take a look.
For this list, we're ranking the most memorable sequences in the horror genre that fans love to watch over and over, whether for the special effects, the dialogue, an Easter egg, or something else. All that matters is that these scenes have taken on a life of their own within their respective films. Please note, there will be spoilers ahead. Number 20, Sinking into the Floor, Get Out.
How do you feel now?
I can't move.
You can't move.
Why can't I move?
Jordan Peele's horror hit Get Out has a lot going for it. A unique premise, strong performances, and a great visual style. An example of the latter was this fan favorite scene, which occurs late in the film's first act, when Missy Armitage puts our hero Chris Washington under hypnosis. Deep under hypnosis.
We do use focal points sometimes to guide someone into a state of heightened suggestibility.
The dialogue between them is just beautiful, and the performances. And just the look on his face when he's like, I can't move, like, it's just, you know, gives me chills, you know? So yeah, it definitely deserves to be on the list.
Sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
First of all, it's shot so beautifully. It's like a perfect effect, and it's like a special effect that you only see like in, you know, science fiction movies or whatever. But for somehow he made it work.
Number 19, Redface Comes Out of Nowhere, Insidious.
I saw something today.
Why do we love being scared? We suspect it has a whole lot to do with the adrenaline rush. Fans of the Insidious franchise just can't get enough of this scene from the first film, in which Joseph Bishara's red-faced demon appears behind Patrick Wilson.
I can still hear that voice.
Yes, that is a great jump scare, and actually I've rewatched that scene, you know, plenty of times, because James Wan is like, you know, a master horror filmmaker, and you learn, you know, a lot from watching his scenes. But you know, you can see like the sound from this is very minimal, and it's almost completely silent, and then you hear this little clicking, and you're like, what the hell is that? And then they cut to that shot, and they only hold it for like, you know, maybe a second. But he does this a lot in this movie, and actually in The Conjuring too, like where there's these like little moments of just, you know, it's a perfect little horror movie.
Its strength lies in the way it plays on our expectations. We expect to see something scary at the end of a dark corridor at night, but not in a brightly lit dining room. And that's what gives this jump scare enduring appeal.
You know something's coming, and it just freaks you out, you know, and it's just done so well. I think he's the best at it.
Number 18, Subway Tunnel Miscarriage, Possession.
It's as if the two sisters were too exhausted to fight anymore. You know, these women wrestling in an arena of mud.
The twisted 1981 film Possession may not be a household name, but cult horror fans are likely quite familiar with this notably disturbing scene. Isabelle Adjani delivers an incredibly physical performance during what can only be described as a descent into madness for her character during a horrifying miscarriage. The scene of Adjani whirling about and pushing herself to the absolute physical limits may at first seem over the top, perhaps even humorous in execution. That is, until the character starts to leak and exude fluids from her body. As she slumps in the corner of a filthy subway, it's clear that the mentally and physically exhausted Anna has forever been changed by the experience. It's difficult viewing, but nonetheless mesmerizing.
What I miscarried there was Sister Faith, and what was left is Sister Chance.
Number 17, Satellite Drop, Cloverfield.
Admit it, you are gonna miss me a little bit, right? Oh, yeah, I will.
Blink and you will miss it. Even die-hard fans of the Cloverfield franchise can be forgiven for missing this Easter egg, which occurs near the end of the film. We can see some sort of object fall from the sky during Rob's flashback footage from Coney Island, something that lands into the ocean below. Fans who followed the film's viral marketing and backstory learned that the object was actually a satellite that's somehow connected to the destructive events that occur in the film. It's necessary to rewatch the scene carefully in order to catch this tantalizing extra.
People are gonna want to know how it all went down.
Number 16, Jason Jump Scare, Friday the 13th.
His name was Jason.
I was working the day that it happened, preparing meals.
So, I mean, Friday the 13th is like, you know, the classic slasher movie, and I actually do not like slasher movies because they just they just are really uncomfortable for me, but you know, you gotta watch Friday the 13th, it's a classic.
Alice is drifting in a boat, mentally exhausted from her fight with Pamela Voorhees. Then, with a truly unpredictable lead-in, the deformed body of Jason lurches up from the water, pulling her under.
The way the sound, it's just like very innocent music, and the way the camera kind of drifts in, it's the perfect, it's not really like a jump scare like the Insidious scene. It's an incredibly effective jump scare for being slow motion. I mean, jump scares are usually, you know, you want to be in your people's faces immediately, you know, like the Insidious one, you cut to it and it's there. The fact that they did it this way, it's just so, it's genius, you know, and it just put like the perfect little beat there at that part of the movie.
Number 15, the Chucky reveal, Child's Play.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
It's easy to forget, given how far this franchise has run, that the original Child's Play is actually quite restrained at first with its Chucky effects.
I said talk to me, damn it!
When Chucky finally does come alive in Karen Barkley's hands, it's not only an effective shock, it's also a payoff for all the tension that's been built up beforehand. Plus, Chucky voice actor Brad Dourif is just so good at being menacing and threatening, even in tiny doll form.
I just recently rewatched this movie, and it's still pretty effective, you know, like, you know, a lot of horror movies kind of age badly, but this one is still works pretty well. And it's because of all the performances, and the puppetry was just enough. You know, it's tough bringing something that's not alive, you know, to film and make it look realistic, but they did a perfect job on that. And obviously they did such a great job that it spawned, you know, countless sequels. So, you know, just classic.
Number 14, Stair Crawl, Ju-on and the Grudge. The world of Japanese horror is known for many things, not the least of which is their propensity for truly terrifying visuals. Case in point, this supernatural scene from the influential 2002 film Ju-on the Grudge, which is something of a J-horror classic. Here, a mixture of tension building, first-person camera work, squishy sound design, and dedicated physical acting all come together in a perfect storm. In fact, the versions found in both the original Ju-on the Grudge and its 2004 American remake are superbly effective even today, serving as a perfect jumping-off point for those seeking to explore a new world of fright. Number 13, Man in the Mirror, Repulsion.
Oh, come on, fill us in with the gripping details.
Early in his career, Roman Polanski was a master of psychological horror and achieved an absolute classic with this, his first English-language film. Repulsion may not be your typical hack-and-slash horror fare, but this journey into the mind of a disturbed young woman takes a startling turn with this otherwise subtle jump scare sequence. Catherine Deneuve's Carol is all alone in the flat she shares with her sister, or at least she thinks she's alone. It's brief, but we can see a mysterious man in a reflection of a mirror, who appears when Carol opens her sister's closet. The question is he really there, or is he a product of Carol's increasingly unhinged imagination?
I wouldn't have minded seeing it.
Feel free anytime.
Number 12, She's a Boy, Sleepaway Camp.
Let's go swimming.
Now?
It's one of those unpredictable, no way anyone was expecting that kind of moments that can only happen in the world of horror. The ending of the 1983 slasher classic Sleepaway Camp not only revealed that the shy and troubled Angela Baker was killing off kids and counselors at Camp Arawak, but that she was actually a boy all along. The image of actress Felissa Rose growling with a horrifying expression on her face, superimposed upon some very graphic male nudity, was something absolutely no one was anticipating back in the early 80s, and truthfully will not see coming today. That is, if you don't spoil it for them.
Yes, I've always dreamed of a little girl just like you.
Number 11, Mind the Door, The Exorcist 3.
What's the difference? What's that got to do with this? Well, you mentioned that exorcism.
This jump scare can also be counted among the all-time greats. This is due to the timing of the shot and how it's never quite telegraphed to the audience exactly when it's going to occur. This underrated sequel to The Exorcist is an occult crime procedural, following a string of murders that appear to be committed by the long-dead Gemini killer.
This is impossible.
One of these attacks occurs in a hospital as a nurse is checking doors on her floor. The scene is shot quietly and at a distance, ramping up the tension to a delirious degree. Then, without any warning, the camera zooms into the Gemini attacking the nurse, simultaneously giving viewers a heart attack. Number 10. Trophy Room, Predator 2.
Jesus Christ.
Before crossovers and mega franchises were a common occurrence, 1990's Predator 2 gave audiences a massive tease. During the final confrontation against the titular alien hunter, Danny Glover's Lieutenant Harrigan wanders into the Predator's trophy room. The wall is adorned with various mementos from other hunts, including a xenomorph skull from the Alien franchise. In hindsight, this was probably meant as more of a reference or an Easter egg than a full-blown crossover, but at the time, fans were watching this scene over and over again for confirmation and more hints. Number 9. Mind Blown. Scanners.
I know that you've all been prepared for this, but I thought I'd just remind you just the same.
Speaking of practical effects, is there any other horror head explosion that's as satisfying or insanely over the top as this one from David Cronenberg's Scanners? Horror fans just loved rewinding this scene when a scanner, Cronenberg's word for someone with intense mental abilities, is put to the ultimate test by one of his own, Daryl Revok. The psychokinetic abilities of Michael Ironside's Revok are so strong that they cause the other scanner's head to explode. In a gratuitously awesome way, of course. The effect was achieved by blasting a shotgun through a dummy's head filled with, among other things, old hamburgers, resulting in a messy yet surprisingly realistic sequence that's just as much fun to watch today.
I want you to come with me.
I didn't do anything.
I said I want you to come with me.
Number 8. Werewolf A Go-Go, An American Werewolf in London. There have been many effective werewolf transformation scenes over the years, from Joe Dante's The Howling to Dog Soldiers and The Company of Wolves. There's one that nonetheless trumps them all, however, and it's from John Landis's immortal An American Werewolf in London. Fans not only recoiled at just how visceral and painful turning into a werewolf seemed to be for poor David Kessler, they also studied the scene frame by frame to see how it was filmed.
Help me!
Rick Baker's game-changing effects were the star of the show, inspiring the next generation of makeup and visual effects artists. Number 7. Monster Free-for-All, The Cabin in the Woods. Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard's The Cabin in the Woods was simultaneously a great send-up of and a love letter to classic horror movie tropes.
The Virgin. Me. Virgin. We work with what we have.
As such, the film was chock full of Easter eggs and homages to other characters and franchises.
Let's get this party started.
One particularly great scene sets up a whole bunch of movie monsters for the ultimate murderous mash of carnage. Beasts of all shapes and sizes terrorize the underground compound which sits below the titular cabin, from a merman to a certain, shall we say, Pinhead-esque tribute to the Hellraiser series. You've really got to watch this scene again and again to catch them all. Number 6. It's time for my close-up, The Blair Witch Project.
I am so sorry.
I think this scene should have been number 1, honestly, but 6 is a good number, and it's actually a good place for it. It's just one of these scenes that I remember watching it for the first time in the editing room when we were watching just the raw footage, and like my jaw just dropping. It's a testament to like what her ability and also just her bravery, because that's not really a flattering angle, you know what I mean? And the fact that she just went with it and just continued with it is an amazing performance. And I've said this before, but I would put her performance up against anybody's. I think Gwyneth Paltrow won the Oscar that year, and I would definitely put her performance in this movie. I think definitely compares, it's comparable to that, but horror movies don't usually get a lot of Oscar love, so
Let's face it, not much happens on screen during the Blair Witch Project. So when the camera cuts to an uncomfortable and unflattering angle of Heather's face, we're caught off guard.
I insisted on everything.
So on this list, so far we've seen, jump scares, a lot of practical effects. And this one, I think the scene is probably rewatched because of the acting and also because of the snot. And the original scene was like 12 minutes. And we edited it down, but it's just the most vulnerable piece of acting I've seen in any of my films, and it's just an amazing piece of work.
Donahue's fear is palpable as she delivers her lines in a trembling and tearful voice. And it's here where the Blair Witch Project truly grabbed hold of its audience and their imaginations.
And it's all because of me that we're here now. Hungry, and cold, and hunted.
Number 5, Hammers and Hooks, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This scene has sparked decades of debate and review. Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre isn't really bloody by modern standards, but achieves its scares via atmosphere and unbelievable tension.
There's just something wrong with this movie. Like, there's something that was captured, I think, just because of I think they shot it on 16 millimeter. And, it was relatively low budget, and just Tobe Hooper's technique, and just like that scene, like you see the chicken and all the bones, and it's just such a, like you can almost smell it. You can almost smell that room, like how, and it's a beautifully shot, hell.
Still, this didn't stop fans from swearing they saw poor Pam impaled straight through on a meat hook by Leatherface. This was how powerful Hooper's subliminal terror was upon moviegoers, as we never see the hooks emerge through Pam's chest, just like we don't actually see Leatherface grind up Kirk after he brutally assaults him with a hammer. It's all in our minds, which was probably exactly what Hooper wanted in the first place.
Hey, you see those buildings there? That's where they kill them. They bash him in the head with a big sledgehammer.
Number 4, morbid symbolism, Hereditary.
It's okay, Charlie, we're almost to the hospital, okay?
There's no denying that the death of Charlie early on in Hereditary comes as a complete shock to the audience. However, the reasoning behind our next entry isn't necessarily due to the scene's troubling violence, but rather a small, minute detail that you can only see upon further viewings. The occult symbol of King Payman is actually emblazoned upon the telephone pole that decapitates Charlie, leading the viewer to believe that all of the film's events have been preordained, leading up to Peter's demonic coronation.
You are Payman, one of the 8 kings of hell.
It's quick and only really noticeable if you pause the frame, but it adds yet another layer of depth to one of 2018's most frightening films. Number 3, here's Johnny, The Shining.
Wendy, I'm home.
All right, well, it's the Here's Johnny scene from The Shining. I mean, of course, it's going to be, in the top 5. I've watched this 50 times probably. I've watched the movie probably 50 times.
Okay, sure. Stephen King himself may have disliked what cinema maverick Stanley Kubrick did with his big screen adaptation of The Shining, but there's no denying this scene's place in the pantheon of horror cinema. Jack Nicholson is in full unhinged mode at this point in the film, with his character, Jack Torrance, having seemingly lost all grip on reality.
Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in.
The image of Nicholson bursting through a bathroom door as he stalks his wife Wendy became the stuff of which nightmares were made, rewatched and quoted endlessly by legions of horror fans around the world.
Here's Johnny!
Number 2, intro, Scream.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
What did you say?
The opening scene for 1996's Scream perfectly encapsulates the entire slasher film genre, hitting on all the big cliches, teens in danger, masked killer, and of course, making viewers everywhere afraid to be home alone.
Is this some kind of joke?
More of a game, really. Can you handle that? Blondie.
In it, a helpless teen played by Drew Barrymore is stalked and harassed by a voice on the telephone. The scene slowly but steadily builds from creepy discomfort to full-blown horror and excitement.
Oh, God!
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
The whole thing is basically a microcosm for the entire movie, and fans of the series cannot watch it enough. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Michael Unmasked, the Halloween franchise. There were few ways to uncover a horror movie mystery in the pre-internet age.
Oh, look. Look where?
Die-hard fans looking for answers turned to magazines like Fangoria for the latest scoop from the set, but what if you wanted to know what was really behind the mask of someone like Michael Myers? Well, you paused, watched, and rewatched those scenes that offered a tantalizing glimpse behind those devil's eyes. The first film has probably the most satisfying of these unmasking scenes, specifically during the final confrontation in the Doyle house. Tony Moran's face is fleeting, but for fans of a certain age, revisiting these few seconds was the only way to get a personal glimpse at pure evil.
These, the original Halloween came out, there was no video market, the only time you were able to watch a movie is in the theater. This whole list is kind of a testament to like the power of home video, that it has made these classic scenes rewatchable because now we can actually watch them. And then that scene with Mike Myers, it's like, you're always interested to see what his face looked like. And anytime you can catch a glimpse, you would be basically pausing the VCR on those frames just to get that, little bit of to see what it was.
Contaminating his soul. It was pure evil.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.